G'day, guys, and welcome to the Centre Bounce, where today I'll be talking about Zack Fisher moving across from the Blues to the Kangaroos. Stay tuned. Yes, I rhymed there. I did it on purpose. I'm a poet, and I very much know it. We're here today talking about, of course, as I mentioned right from the top, we're talking about Zack Fisher. Now, I've got to be honest with you, I have recorded this once before, but for some reason the microphone did not pick up on it. So, if I don't come off as happy as normal, it's because I'm annoyed at Zack Fisher for not letting this video work. Is it fair? Probably not. We're going to dive straight into it and not waste any more time. Got Zack Fisher, the blue becomes a roo. I reckon my play on words was a bit better than this one. Up your game, North. But yes, he's moved across from the navy blue to the royal blue. And I think the major thing that we've got to talk about is why. Why did he have this move? Obviously, he needed some more opportunity. As again, I've got here the AFL article as well from October 11. And of course, he wanted to get some more opportunity. As we can see here, that his manager. It's probably more about opportunity for Zack. So, yeah, he didn't get many games. He struggled to stay in the side at Carlton last year. However, it is true that he sent a strong reminder of his talent later in the season when he was recalled to play off half-back from round 21. He averaged 27 disposals over the last month of the home and away season before being dropped again for finals. Essentially, Carlton were like, we're going to get something out of you, so we're going to put you in the easiest role so that you can look okay, so that we can get something from you when you decide to leave. And they did a very good job because they did end up getting something. Fisher and 17, they get 21 and 25 back. So well done to Carlton. I hate saying that, but they did it well. Head on over to North Melbourne. And what do North have to say? The North Melbourne General Manager of Football, Todd Viney, said the quick and versatile former Blue would be a great addition. Obviously, he's going to say that. What else is he supposed to say? Versatility, blah, 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 off half-back, yes, and through the midfield. His speed and decision-making with ball in hand will be a great addition to our club. Where is it that you need speed and decision-making with ball in hand? It is off half-back. You need to be able to do these things. So we're going to talk about... this is a bit of a sneak peek into what I was going to say. We're going to be talking about Zack Fisher and what he provides as a half-backer. Because if he's not playing half-back, you can bet your bottom dollar he ain't going anywhere near any of our sides, especially for that price point. Very awkward price point. Because if he's not playing a half-back, let's have a look at his scoring, his historical scoring. 47, 48... on debut, 72, 65, 73. Yuck, this is all rookie scores. These are all good rookie scores. Nowhere near what we want to see in our side, especially not for his price. Because his price, he's like just under 400K. Now, that is really, it's really tight. If you're going to pick him, we're picking him because we're hoping that this guy could be a keeper for us in the forward line. Why do I say that? Because he's playing off half-back. And as you would have seen, Aaron Hall got a new lease on life at North Melbourne when he was moved into the half-back line. How do I know he's playing off half-back? Well, you would have picked up on this when I was referring in the Carl Amon video. When you look at this column, the kick-in column, all of a sudden, he's starting to play. You're taking more kick-ins. It means you're playing off half-back. It means you're not playing forward anymore. That's literally the other side of the ground. So you're playing in a halfback, taking kick-ins. What ends up happening? Your disposals automatically goes up. Your kick-to-handball ratio improves because you're kicking the ball out of the back line. You start to take more marks because it's when a switch happens, it very regularly happens in the back half of the ground when you receive a kick-in. So not only do you get points if you play on from a kick-in, you obviously get points if you mark a ball from a kick-in. So your marks go up, your disposals go up, your kick-to-handball ratio goes up, and your kick-ins go up. And if you play on, which he did most of the time, those count as extra stats for you. And what happens as soon as he goes into halfback? He's jumped up from 73 to 105. He had a 98 average, essentially, and he had an 88 average of only 6 games, very injury interrupted, as was the year before. But you get the general gist. When you're playing at halfback, especially for a team like North Melbourne, your points, your scoring just skyrockets. There was another player who had a very similar change in scoring. Once he had a move to the back line, you can see 2020, 8 games. He was actually attending some centre bounces. Not a single kick-in was taken. He averaged 48. Following year, he gets a move to halfback because he starts taking a lot of kick-ins, as you can tell. Played on 92% of the time. Look at the massive jump in his disposals per game. 25 disposals a game as opposed to 19, 17, 18. Again, you get the general gist. Increased disposals, increased better kick-to-handball ratio, more marks. Look at that compared to before. Nowhere near the 7.4 mark. So again, all these things just bump up when you're playing for North Melbourne off halfback, and his scoring jumped up. Now he had this season, as you can tell, only the 14 kick-ins, so he certainly had a lot less impact because he was the sub a lot of the games in that season compared to, again, 22 games as well here in this season that's gone by. 21 disposals, great kick-to-handball ratio, great marking. Again, all these wonderful things, great kick-ins, great play-on percentage, and his average, again, was very decent. Another player that we've seen just in the year that's gone by, if you played Supercoach this year, you'd absolutely know all about Harry Sheezel. He's played his one season, and guess where he got all of his massive scores? When he's playing in the back line. When he's playing at halfback, he's getting a lot of points. Now, I know this says forward pocket, but there's a lot of defensive wing there. What happened in this game? Again, so he's just didn't get a lot of the pill that game. But you can see when he's playing at halfback flank, or center halfback. Let's have a look at this map. Is this more defense or? Yep, that's halfback more. Let's have a look at that. Have a look here. But you get the general gist. Again, this is a running, gunning halfback. But you get the general gist. I'm not going to go into immense detail, but once you play at halfback for North Melbourne, you get a lot of points because you're getting a lot of the ball. In most cases, you're having a good kick-to-handball ratio, and you're taking more marks. So it's a wonderful thing. If you're playing a halfback for North Melbourne, these 3 players have all showed that if you're playing a halfback for North Melbourne, you're going to get good points. And this is the role that we're anticipating Zack Fisher to play this year because he's made the move across. He showed something in the last 4 games of this season that made North Melbourne want to pick him up. They've got Sheezel. Now, as we know from the reports that are coming out, if you're paying attention, Harry Sheezel is playing almost like a mid-forward role. He's not having a static position. And we can even see that during the course of the season, he wasn't given a permanent centre-half back role. There were occasionally games where he played more midfield and even a little bit more forward at times because he is that good. And you want your incredible players, your very clean, dangerous players in dangerous positions. And there's nothing more dangerous than a Sheezel picking the ball up close to goal or forward around the center and pushing forward. They want this guy to be a mid-forward as he was playing in his juniors at the lower levels before he made AFL level. He is a dangerous, clean player and is arguably one of their best already, if not top 2. They want him to play forward of center. And that's sort of what we're seeing in the training reports this off-season. What are we seeing as well? We're seeing that this guy, Zack Fisher, is the deepest player at halfback and the distributor for North Melbourne in those preseason reports. Now, can he actually play that role? We've seen others do it. Can he do it? Is he capable of it? Has he shown it in the past? Well, as the AFL article said, he moved to halfback from round 21, and I can believe it. It says centre halfback here. Let's have a closer look at that heat map. And yeah, quite a bit of the pill at halfback and then pushing up the ground. This is an incredible heat map for someone playing off halfback. It means that not only is he getting the ball here, he's also pushing up the ground, and he's been given free reign essentially to have this very aggressive play style coming off the half-back line. So that's great. You love to see it. No kick-ins in that game, but he still scored 126. How did he do that? Courtesy of many disposals. 32 disposals in that game. How else did everybody do in this one? What happened there? It was a comfortable, it looks comfortable on the scoreboard, but really the Saints played very valiantly in this game, and then they got tore apart in the last quarter. But Zack Fisher was actually the second highest scoring player for the Blues after Nick Newman, even ahead of Sam Docherty, George Hewitt. So that was great. And he beat everybody over there at the Saints as well. So that's wonderful. Great to see. What else can he do for us? Second game here against Melbourne, 24 disposals, 71% efficiency. That's not great. 53 points. Well, that sort of explains, that's a really bad. He got 4 kick-ins. He played on from all of them. 1 free against. So that's a clanger. Only 1 tackle. Let's have a look. I know this was a very close game. That was the Petrarca controversy. Didn't get the goal. What happened? Where is he? Everybody else did really well, especially the defensive players. Paddy Cripps had an awesome game. Akers, Dow, Docherty, Fogarty, Chincotta. Yeah, this is not a great game for Zack Fisher. And you only had the 63 fantasy, which again shows that he really wasn't involved too much. Let's look into it a little bit deeper. And also, while I'm here, let's just pop open that heat map. What's he doing? And this almost, no disposals in the back line. This almost looks like he's playing wing, which is not a good heat map. Just looking at this, you can tell that this player, regardless of who it is, in this case, obviously Zack Fisher, did not have a good game that game. But yeah, let's have a look again at the stats. Blues won by 4. Let's go to the player stats. We want to see the Blues. Let's see. How many score involvements did he have? We don't want to see too many because he's playing off half-back. Zack Fisher down here is with 3. 3 intercept possessions. 4 contested, 15 uncontested. So that sort of makes sense. Okay, let's have a look also at the... that's clearances. I wanted to see the clangers. This might be a good way... There he is. Clangers. How many clangers did he have? He had 3. Okay. 3 clangers, 1 tackle there. Okay. So that's not, again, part of the reason why he didn't have a high disposal efficiency. 24 disposals. But it seems like he really didn't do too much with them. Here he is. 24 disposals. But they weren't contested in nature. He didn't have any clearances. So this was probably one of the worst games. Essentially, they were dud 24 disposals, which against a tough opposition in Melbourne is understandable because I don't really think he's an amazing footballer. To be completely honest with you, I don't think Zack Fisher is an amazing footballer. And he really would not be in this discussion at all if not for the role he's going to be playing and in that team. Because as we've seen, other players have done it. But arguably, you could argue pretty successfully, to be honest, that each of these players are better than Zack Fisher. But we're really looking at him for the role and his job security. 28 disposals against the Gold Coast Suns at 75%, 5 marks, which was good. In the game before that, he couldn't take any marks. And if I recall correctly, it was a very wet game, plus very high pressure. So it's not easy to take uncontested marks. 3 kick-ins. He played on all the time for 96. That sounds all pretty good. Let's have a look at that heat map. This is definitely a better heat map than the week before, but again, it is very much on a wing. It seems like he was given reign to attack from this side of the halfback, and then maybe someone like Assad was in charge with taking that side. Side is a left footer, so it sort of makes sense that he would be kicking inboards using his left foot that way. So that could be the reason why his heat map is predicated mostly on this side. But he did what he had to do and he saw it through. Against the Giants in the last round, this was a game that Carlton didn't really need to win because they had sewn up finals by this stage. The Giants had to win this game because if they didn't, they might not have made finals. So one team had it all on the line. The other team really didn't care and probably took it easy to make sure that they didn't get any injuries going into finals. And the scorecard sort of shows Tom Green, what an absolute animal with 145. Wiedering and Newman, these two defenders, were the only two players that managed to crack the ton, which goes to show how one-sided it is, how one-sided the game was. And those two were the two defenders who had a lot of work to do. Good for them. But, yeah, Zack Fisher down here with a 61. Let's have a look at that heat map. Like, again, this is really interesting for someone who is at a half back. He's getting a lot of disposals higher up the ground, which is interesting. I'd assume that means that he sort of had some stints where he was playing around the ball. 24 disposals, 3 marks, no tackles. He gave away 2 free kicks as well in that game. So that's already 8. That's already 8 points gone. Let's have a look even more at the player stats. We want to look at the Blues. We want to look at my stats. Let's see. How many clangers did he have? Fisher led the way with 6 clangers. Look at him go. The clanger merchant leading the way with 6. What a superstar. So, yeah, he lost a lot of points for that. He lost at least 24 points. Not to mention, if they were all kicks and they were all effective, then he lost points for those as well. So he missed out on a lot of points to get to 61. He probably could have pushed closer to 90 or 100 in that game if it kicked straight. But if you look at him historically, he hasn't been a great ball user. If we look at his disposal efficiency over the course of his career, 70, 66, 67, 63, 68. Again, nothing to sing home about. But we also got to remember that for all this time, he wasn't playing at halfback. He's playing forward of center. He's playing in high-pressure situations where defenders are breathing down his neck. So it's a lot harder to have a high disposal efficiency. Even playing in the midfield, trying to kick the ball inside 50, if it gets picked off, then that obviously also reduces your disposal efficiency. So I can cut him some slack for that. However, he was playing off halfback here, and his disposal efficiency, I mean, we could calculate it. Let's have a look. So he had an 84 plus 71 plus 75 plus 75 divided by 4, an average of 76.25%. So around 3/4 of his disposals go where he needs to go. So, look, if we can see more of that, then it could be okay. 84 is obviously not a promising average, especially for his price point. He's currently, if I just pull him up now, he's priced at 378 with an average of 67.8. So 67 up to 84 at 17 points, which is an acceptable bump, but we'd ideally want more than 84, especially looking at the averages and the performances that we've seen from Aaron Hall, from Jack Siebel and Harry Sheezel in the years that have just gone by. We want more than an 84. It would be great if he can push a 90 to 95. If he can do that, then I think that makes him a keeper for the season. Plus, he plays for North, which has North Melbourne has a much better buy than most other teams. So that's not too bad as well, just to sort of try and sweeten the deal. The concern that I might have about Zack Fisher is if he continues to have not amazing disposal efficiency and he butchers it up a bit too much, we might see a situation where he is moved out of the back line and we get someone like Sheasel back in there. We might try to entrust more to Mikurcha, who we know is playing off halfback. So, yeah, it definitely is a watch and see. I'm flirting all the time with either putting him in, taking him out. It just depends on what I do with the money. If you have enough money to sort of, you feel like he's going to cement that role of halfback, it's his. He's going to take kick-ins. He's going to be the major distributor of halfback. If you genuinely believe that's going to be the case, and it appears at this point of the season that that is the case, then I think he is a top 6 forward, and that means for his price, he is acceptable. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this spotlight video on Zack Fisher. It's an interesting one. It's definitely, we have a very small sample size when it comes to his output off halfback, but we have a bigger sample size for halfbacks in general at North Melbourne. So let me know if you're going to start Zack Fisher. Are you going to start him or not? They're very happy to be involved in that discussion down below. If you're new here, a subscription would greatly help the channel. And if you liked how I went about it, a like would be awesome to let me know that, give me some feedback. And you can let me know as well any other player that you would like me to go over. Any other requests. I'm definitely happy to take requests for other players that you want to see, that you want to know more about. And then we can find out a bit more of their viability together. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. I'll catch you there. Bye-bye.